Currently within the video game industry, we are kind of in a very dire situation. You know, we're looking at things like console prices are being upcharged, things like studio closures are still becoming a problem, layoffs are still becoming a thing, and just in general, just how much AI has pretty much really taken over the industry by storm and how much it's really affecting it. I'm expecting a video game industry crash, but really before we really get into talking about that, I just want to say that while yes, the quality of some of the games that we might be getting released recently, like 007 First Light, Resident Evil Requiem, while they're still great, we are still currently going through a specific crisis within our industry. And you might be wondering, what exactly is causing this crisis? Well, like I mentioned, AI has become a serious problem within our industry. Stuff like RAM prices increasing, which is also causing consoles to increase, and even just in general, we're seeing it. For example, the Steam machine, something that a lot of people were excited and hyped for, are now being already completely outpriced in the market with it due to the simple fact of the price. But also, just in general, the precedent that this sets with this console's price. I mean, you can see right there, the Steam price is about $1,000 something, and it's a version without the controller. You have to spend an extra $100 within the $1,000 just so you can get the controller to come with the console, and it's just not worth it when you could probably potentially build a budget build PC. But even still with that, it just really sets a precedent on where we're currently at with the current state of gaming. Just in general, if we look at other stuff like Xbox, Asher Sharma, the new CEO, who up to this point in her first couple months in her term, I've really felt like as a CEO, she's done a great job at trying to rebuild the Xbox image and everything. But I won't lie, June, since, post Xbox Games Showcase, which I thought was really strong, it has kind of been a rough time for Xbox. Stuff like, once again, even another year where we're post a showcase, they're still not able to maintain some studios. For example, there's been rumors and talks about certain studio closures. For example, a studio that made Memories in Orbit just recently closed down because of certain stuff, because of crazy expectations and certain precedents that are set for some of these studios. But also, it's just not a really sustainable environment to really work in. Like, if you look in terms of certain studios, for example, there's talks about the studio that's currently working on the new Blade game, Arcane Studios. They are currently potentially maybe in talks to either move out of the Xbox ecosystem and do their own thing, or might be closed entirely. And remember, we were in a weird situation with the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush, and thankfully, thank God, we are blessed that they're still alive because they got picked up. But even still, a studio like that, a studio that was put in that pedestal after making a great game, was on the brink of really being done. So there's just a lot to really think about in this industry right now in terms of where we are. But also, we gotta look at the other bigger picture here. There's even other things that may cause something within the industry. For example, just how much are companies willing to go when it comes to making certain decisions. Of course, this is leading me to talk about the GTA 6 fiasco that we've went through recently. Obviously, as you all know, in the last week, Rockstar Games officially announced that pre-orders were going live for GTA 6, and along with that, they also released the pricing and the content that will be in both the standard edition that goes for $80 and the ultimate edition, which is the higher version of the game that brings you extra content, accessories, and even costumes for the characters. But along with the ultimate edition that is costed at $100, they are locking certain shops like car mod shops and tattoo salons. It's just crazy that certain shops that you could easily access within the overworld and other GTAs will be locked behind a paywall for the extra version. And in my opinion, a lot of the industry is going to be looking at and focusing on what Rockstar does with GTA 6, because they're most likely going to influence the future of the industry in terms of prices or decisions that they do with the game, because everyone knows that this is the most anticipated game now, not only just in the industry of video games, but just one of the most anticipated things of media of all time. And the sad reality is, GTA knows that they can get away with this. Another big problem with this is that GTA has their own subscription, Rockstar has GTA Plus, which is like their own GTA subscription or whatnot, and they give you a month for free if you pre-order the Ultimate Edition. However, they also auto-renew it without really giving you any warning, and they auto-renew it every month following the free month that you get with the game. And honestly, that's crazy, because now they force you to basically cancel a subscription that you didn't want, because it automatically just comes with your game. And also, that's just alarming, because that also makes me concerned, because we also know that GTA Online isn't coming on day one with this game, which was an assumption that I kind of had, even though it's kind of crazy that it's not. But this also said something weird. Is GTA 6 gonna make you pay for online? If that were to happen, I'm actually quite a little concerned for the future of gaming just in general. Because while I do believe Grand Theft Auto 6 will come out as a really great game, because I mean, it kind of has to, and I'm a firm believer that it will release good, because Rockstar has a history of quite literally only pumping out 10 out of 10 games. It's going to be something to keep an eye on. And I just hope for the future of the industry that we are going to be okay, and that Rockstar, you know, realizes what they're doing. And it's even sad when we look at the other parts of the industry, you know. Sony, for example, took down the complete library of certain movies and films because of the simple fact that their licenses agreement with that has finally ended. And the fact that they just took that whole library and you won't get refunds for it, or just anything to try to, you know, give you, you know, a compensation for all those movies being gone from the library, is another thing that is making me worried about the industry as a whole. Full stop. I am indeed expecting a video game industry crash very soon. Whether that's at the end of this year, the beginning of next year, it has to happen at some point, because these prices are getting out of control. Games are $70, even some of them are price pointing themselves at $80. Consoles are getting ridiculously expensive. I mean, and one of the Xbox Series X models now is like $800, I believe, and the PS5 Pro is now $900. And we already discussed about the Steam Machine, which is now $1,050, I believe, and that's not even with a controller. It is just the console itself. I've never seen that before in my life. One of the basic necessities is to get the controller. And that is why exactly I've been saying also, which is another thing I'm gonna bring in LARPing into this video, I believe physical media is now more important than ever. And I know what a lot of people believed. Oh, you know, it's more convenient to get it with digitally and stuff like that. But if we really look at what's going on in this industry, physical media matters more than ever. I mean, especially with what we just seen with PlayStation essentially taking down a complete library of movies and shows or whatnot. It is time to buy physical media to keep things alive. That way, you indeed do have the licenses to stuff. Because the thing is, I want a lot of people to know this, but the PS Vita was a big, you know, victim of this, where the PS Vita ended up having, you know, a bunch of digital games, and because the PS Vita got shut down, you lost the entire digital library that you might have bought on the console. And again, that can happen at any moment with these games, because the thing is, even though you're buying them digitally, all you're really getting is just the game digitally. The licenses for these games can be taken at any time. I don't know if you know this, but for digital games, you need an internet at all times. With physical, you could still not have internet, but because you have the disc inserted within the console, you can play the game at any time. With digital, it's a high risk, high reward. Yes, it's convenient. Yes, it's right there. Like, you can just buy the game at home and boom, you can already download it and have it ready to go when you're at home. But the other problem is that your licenses with some of these games is quite literally a gamble. Yes, you can have the game and have it bought digitally, but it can also be pulled from you at any time. And that's why physical games really matter, which is why I'm even going to bring it out here real quick. Something like the Switch 2, which I know is crazy to bring up, but this is why I'm also probably going to start doing it with games just in general in the future, and why I've cared so much with the Switch 2. But like, games, Jesus, really? Games like this is something that I'm going to continue to buy physically. You know, I've bought in the Yakuza games on Switch physically. I've bought in pretty much any first party that you can think of for the Switch 2 physically. I have it all right there in the corner, because of the simple fact that when I open it, I'm always going to have, you know, the cartridge there, and I can always rely on that just being right there. And especially with these Switch 2 games, I can immediately just put it in the console and it's already ready to go. I don't have to wait for any download or anything. And while yes, game key cards do suck on this console, at least I have something than what GTA 6 isn't doing, where GTA 6, if you buy it physically, is only a code in the box. That's another precedent I'm scared for, because these companies are going to try to do anything they can to only have a digital market, which is why, like I said, it's most importantly the time where you buy physicals. I know, more convenient to get it digitally and stuff like that, but I really do think it's important to have an option of both, because who knows what the precedent will be set with gaming in the future if it doesn't exist anymore. We are currently in the video game crisis right now. There's so much that the industry has to build, and as someone who loves this hobby, I don't want to see people getting priced out of like what they're passionate about. I don't want to see people feeling like it's just not affordable, just like Asha Sharma, the Xbox CEO, said when it came to prices, which is crazy. She said that kind of like a warning, because the day after was when the Series X and S models went up in price, and I'm expecting a video game industry crash at some point. I'm expecting prices at some point to get lower, because this is the first generation of consoles that we have seen prices go up instead of go down. So I'm expecting it at some point. Guys, pray for the industry, pray for the hobby in general. I am a firm believer that things will get fixed, but for now we'll have to be patient and we'll have to get through this crisis together.